Feedback Friday with another Feedback Friday. If you're new here, we do this every week. I think we've done it pretty much every week I think we may have had 2 Fridays off ever. I am actually, believe it or not, going on holiday next week. And so for the next 2 Fridays, we will still be doing it, but they will be pre-recorded. So watch out for those. You can have some fun between you. Maybe Eric can run them as a premiere. I don't know. Maybe there's a way to still have the discussion. Could you do that?
Yeah, I was thinking of doing a premiere, and I'll be in there still too.
There you go. So we'll do a premiere. So you'll still have me waffling on, but Eric can be there, and you can have a thing. Yes, I am actually going on holiday. Can you believe it? 10 days away. Yep, 10 days. Woo! Yeah, take the kids. So who do we have? We have Don, we have Mark, we have Darko, we have Tom, we have Anita, we have Daniel, we have Idaho Turtle, we have Chris Coral, we have Michael O'Rourke, we have Mark Beeson, we have Joey, we have Ken, we have Ed Kraus, we have Blue Wave Dave, we have Twin Spruce Studios, we have Sven, we have Patrick Larson, we have Peter Samuelson, we have Delvin, Mark with a K, Jens, hey Jens, hey Mark, oh other Mark with a key, Mark Beeson, we have Bob Lowe, hey Bob Lowe, hey Earl, hey Leslie, am I missing anybody out? Possibly, but I'm sure you'll pop up and I'll say hello. Hey Trevor, hey Jimmy, hey Pim, hey F, Frank, how are you? Paul, Bobby, hey Bobby, how are you? All right, well, let's get stuck in to a Feedback Friday. Looks like first up we have we have Dimitrev? And they say, hey everybody, yesterday I downloaded the multi-tracks listed under the link under the video recording with a 3D printed mic. Oh yeah, it's just the Limit Project 1040 on YouTube on the Produce Like a Pro channel. Mixed them on Studio Master mixing console. Wow. God, I remember Studio Master. And with just the plugins from Denise Audio and got very good results. I want to share them with you. I would be glad to receive your comments and opinions. Thanks in advance. Marvelous. All right, excited to hear. Is that inside the Academy, those multi-tracks?
They are.
Okay, cool. Do you want to put the link up for everybody? Okay, here we go. Here is, my version of Needle and the Damage Done. I couldn't remember which song it was.
You're knocking at the cellar door. I love you, baby, can I have some more? Ooh, the damage done. I hit the city and I lost my band. I watched the needle take another man. Gone, damage done. I sing the song because I love the man. I know that some of you don't understand. Blood to keep from running out. I've seen the needle and the damage done. A little part of it in everyone, but every junkie's like a setting sun.
Dimitra, I'd love to know which, because didn't we do this song, Eric, with different settings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder which ones you chose. I do like because that'd be really exciting to know. I do like the full-bodied sound of the acoustic. Have a listen to the top again. And I think it sounds lovely, and I love the vocal effects. I mean, you know, really, when you're talking about a vocal on acoustic, there are so many different ways of going. One thing that I've noticed over the years is that when I'm mixing an album, and they've got a couple of acoustic songs on there, I need to give myself a bit of time away and do those in a separate headspace, because when you're mixing a record and you're sitting there and you're using, you know, a reasonable amount of compression and EQ to make things fit together through a pair of stereo speakers, because we're not talking Atmos here, we're just talking stereo. When you're in that situation, you're thinking to yourself, well, you know, how can I make this work under this environment? And then what comes up is you get a vocal and acoustic. And of course, the tendency, and I've had it done to me, or where other mixers have mixed albums for me, they'll just solo the acoustic sound and solo the vocal sound and then send it to you. And then what happens is you get a really squished acoustic, which might sound good in a really jammed, packed track, and you'll get a really super bright, bratty sounding percussive sound, which is also fantastic in a dense mix. You'll get a vocal which is overly bright and probably a little bit too compressed to sit against an acoustic. So as a lesson I learned myself, and also from getting mixers, I won't say who the mixer was, but we rejected some acoustic vocal ones. And it was frustrating because their rate was the same for every song. So for an acoustic vocal song, they were charging like, I don't want to tell you how much they were charging back in the day, but it was ridiculous what more people earn in a month for one song. So yeah, most people earn. So my point is like, I like what Dimitri's done here, because the acoustic is allowed to have a lot more body than you would imagine inside of a mix. Have a listen to the top again.
You're knocking at the cellar door. I love you, baby.
I would argue that everything is perfect about the choices on EQ and compression. I like the low end. It's not unruly, but it's a little bit bigger than you would expect. It's a good sounding acoustic tone. I don't know which setting you used on the mic. I'd love to know the setting. And then the other thing I would say is, like, I think you could bring up the vocal a dB and make it a little bit more poppy. I mean, it's a really beautiful song. You know, it's like, it's one of my favorite songs. I learned it when I was 15. It's a, got you knocking at my cellar door. I love you, baby, can I have some more? I mean, it's a simple, beautiful melody, and I think you could probably just bring the vocal up a little tiny bit more. I like the interesting vocal effects. If I was mixing it, I'd probably put a slight bit more room on the vocal, small room, and still keep your cool vocal effects. Just a tiny, tiny bit more dry room. But that's really all I would do. Otherwise, I think it's absolutely superb. I mean, but thanks for doing this, because we don't often get to sort of listen to these, you know, most of the time we'd listen to more dense stuff, but it is nice to be able to just listen to a vocal acoustic. So if you haven't already downloaded it, I think Eric has found it and put it in here, yes?
Yep, I'll put it again.
He'll put it in again. So if you haven't, yeah, one of my favorite songs by one of my favorite artists. Neil Young is such a phenomenal, phenomenal artist. All right, next up is Mervyn Walker. And Mervyn says, hi all, I've not been around much lately. Sometimes life gets in the way, but I had to have a go at this one. My main goal was to keep the energy and not focus too much on perfection. Any comments are welcome. Here we go.
to stand. Hey, hey, yeah. Hey, 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 oh, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Time to speak for myself, I'm moving on. I'm bigger and stronger now that it's all gone. Step aside, watch out for this train. No got bricks in the hood, but we're sure to make it rain. Flip it, clip it, different new sounds. As if we ain't got a limit, cause we don't like those limits. Never drop it, don't stop because the beat will keep knocking. Cause I rock bandit, dub funked it, and then it became a hit, which then led me to the Ritz, the Ritz. Doesn't take a genius just to know when to quit. It got hard, so you did quit when you could quit. Now you're looking at us, saying all you ever tried to do was bring me down. So I turned around, and then you shot me in the back, said, ooh, if I could've told you that I'm not afraid of anything you do, cause I'm bulletproof, bulletproof. Yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 oh, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Go and take your back, so I'm sick of the way you act. Smack back, same back with the car stacked against you. Everybody's looking for those answers that you seem to provide. But I've seen your side and I've heard all your lies, and I don't mind seeing through these new eyes. The bulletproof state of mind is where I choose to reside. Saying all you ever tried to do was bring me down. So I turned around and then you shot me in the back. Say, ooh, if I could've told you that I'm not afraid of anything you do, cause I'm bulletproof, baby. I said all you ever tried to do was bring me down. So I turned around and then you shot me in the back. Said, ooh, if I could've told you that I'm not afraid of anything you do, cause I'm bulletproof, bulletproof. Show what you got for the people, my brother. Go and check your facts, I'm sick of the way you act. Smack back, same pack with the car stacked against you. Everybody's looking for those answers, and you seem to provide them. But I've seen your side and I've heard all your lies, and I don't mind seeing it through these new eyes. The bulletproof state of mind is where I choose to reside. Yeah, saying all you ever tried to do was back down. So I turned around and you shot me in the back. Said, ooh, if I could've told you that I'm not afraid of anything you do, cause I'm bulletproof, baby. Well, I'm so bulletproof, bulletproof. And that's how it's done.
I like the mix a lot, Mervyn. I just want to go to one section.
Anything you do, cause I'm bulletproof, baby. I said all you ever tried to do was bring me down. So I turned around and then you shot me in the back. Said, ooh, if I could've told you that I'm not afraid of anything you do, cause I'm bulletproof, bulletproof. Show what you got for the people, my brother.
I really, really like it. It just feels like it needs a little bit of a master. That's about it. I do think, as a lot of people are saying here, let's, I'm just going to go for some generic EQ. I think it needs a master. I think if it's just, you went to about 10K and did a nice broad kind of boost, I think it would open up some of the top there. The low end's really nice. The vocal could come up all over, probably a dB to a D, yeah, about a dB. Probably a little bit more in denser sections, so I'd do a vocal up. But, I mean, a master would be all it needs.
I'm bigger and stronger now that it's all gone. Step aside, watch out for this train. No got bricks in the hood, but we're sure to make it rain. Flip it, clip it, different new sounds. As if we ain't got a limit, cause we don't like those limits.
Actually, I went to 7K there and did a little lift, like a couple of dB at 7K with a really, really, really wide bell here. And so it's picking up like a little tiny bit of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, 9, 10. That actually just seems to be what I need, just a little bit.
I'm bigger and stronger now that it's all gone. Step aside, watch out for this train. No bricks in the hood, but we're sure to make it rain. Flip it, clip it, different news.
Also, I think a mastering engineer, if it did a little 2 dB at about 7 with a nice wide kind of bell there, I think would probably, it actually brings the vocal to the front quite dramatically and gives a little extra snap on it. I brought it down ever so slightly. So the snare is right on the verge. I think once you bring up the vocal like a dB, see if the snare can just tuck down a half. So now you've readdressed the vocal snare, even if it's just a half and you barely notice it. It's just at times a little bit too dominant. So maybe bring all the snare channels down, hopefully you got them grouped, just half a dB, bring up the vocal a dB, and then a light master in that kind of, I've now gone down to 1.8 at 7K with a wide bell. I might even bring it down even just a little bit more, just a tiny, tiny bit of, high mids and high end, just a slight bit. Love your relationship between the kick and the bass guitar. It's really good. Very subtle stuff to do on that. Excellent, excellent work, Mervyn. Really, really great. Wow, we're talking about hardly anything. That was a fantastic mix. Please feel free to, get involved with other people that mix this, Mervyn, and share what you did. I really appreciate it. All right, next up is Source Compile Studios. Hey, Source Compile Studios said, took a crack at this. It's a London Lawhan track. Back to You. Another lovely song.
Can't forget our past love. Can't live regretting it all. Our mistakes weren't worth the making. I couldn't help myself in love. I've been bound to fall. It's the darkness that hurts the most. It's the lonely that chills my bones, and it's the scars that hide the truth. But
I really like it. I really like it. As everybody was saying, that some of the S's get a little bit out of control. There's a couple of comments about the low middliness and the thickness of her voice. That is very inherent in the way she sings. There's definitely no two ways about it. Let's have a quick listen. So we'll check this area here again. I think I want to hear a bit more top snare than bottom snare when it first comes in. The bottom snare is nice in the track because it adds a little sizzle and when the track is dense and gives the snare a bit more personality, because otherwise you're just going to hear the snap at the top. But when it first comes in, I think it has to be rebalanced. So a bit more top snare, a bit less bottom. Have a listen to see what you mean. See what I mean. Yeah, just a bit more top snare there on that fill. Now, I agree. Some judicious de-essing. With her, honestly, when we came to mix, we were doing volume rides. We were just like, or you can gain it, depending on what your DAW is, you could gain out some of those S's and T's. And sometimes I've done a lot of that work before you even get the multi-track. It really depends on the situation. When I'm making a record, if I'm mixing it myself, often, not always, but often we'll do a lot of detail as we go along in the recording process, especially when you've got weeks to make an album as opposed to days. So some of the multi-tracks you'll get, a lot of the S's and the T's will have been gained down and then the file consolidated. So when you get those, you really don't have to do too much to make them sound good. You can brighten up the vocal and it's not going to rip your head off. With this one, there's two things about London's voice. She's got a lot of, like this low mid. She's got rich voice. I mean, she's got a powerful Adele-like thing to her. So you have to be careful. You don't want to remove that entirely because then you'll get rid of some of what makes her voice unique. But at the same time, you do have to control some of those low mids. So I think a little bit more of that. And I think probably what the difficulty is with mixing this song is the S's and the T's. So if you get in there and gain them down, spend some detail time on it, like 10 minutes doing that, then you can brighten her vocal, which will effectively do the same thing. Because of course, if it's flat EQ and now you brighten that one area up there, what you're essentially doing is you're brightening here. And of course, what's happening? All of the low end and low mids, and you can high pass like that, is now less loud. But the difficulty is at the moment, by brightening that, we're going to rip our heads off with the S's and T's. So I think detail on work on that is preferably what I like to do. I do use de-essers. I do think the Slate one's pretty good. I actually kind of like it. You know, you've seen me use it. I can't remember, is it the Iosis or whatever? But at the end of the day, there's nothing better than spending time doing detail work, or do the Bob Clearmounting trick where you just literally automate high frequency build up and just duck it every time it happens. You know, you've seen my de-essing trick one like that. And that's still typically, you know, what it is. Yeah. Otherwise, that's the main thing for me. Get that snare top up when it comes in. I don't mind it so much when it just feels soft. I want it to be ba, 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 ba. I just want that initial entrance to be a bit more cracking and exciting. Brighten the vocal, you know, or remove some of the low mids and low end, which will effectively do the same thing. You know, either do this or this. You know what I mean? This. So this, turn it up, is the same as this. So whichever one you want to do, you know, that's why I always laugh about the cut and boost. You know, I never boost, you know, and then they cut tons of frequencies and then turn the EQ up. You know, I cut. Oh, now it's too quiet. And they go to the EQ and turn up. And you're like, okay. It is what it is. It's always the same thing, especially when you're working in digital and using EQs that don't have any, they aren't modeled on anything. So they're just literally, you know, or what would you say, completely sterile, you know. Anyway, to cut a long story short, love it. Work on the low mids, brighten the vocal, but do some detail work on the S's and T's. and give me a little bit more snare top in general, but particularly when you hear it on its own, so it just cracks and announces a bit more. Otherwise, a pretty fantastic mix. Great mix, Sonic Compile Studios. I don't think I've seen you in here before, so I apologize if you've done one before, but great to have you in. Wonderful. Yeah, Chris Ibbotson says, some vocals can be fiddly. You just got to get stuck in there and take the time. And then there's Anita saying, you can cut so much that you suck life out of it. Yeah, that's true as well. We've made a lot of funny videos about that stuff. All right, next up is Adamus. Hey, Adamus. And Adamus says, had some free time, so mixed one more song. Love this one very much. Those samples were used. Felt that everything was enough. Great. Happy listening, and feedback is very welcomed. I went for a bit of parallel all buttons in on the vocals. Should be interesting. Here we go.
Let's go. Come on. Hey, it's a setup. Yeah. Let me welcome you, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to say hello. Are you ready for some entertainment? Are you ready for a show? Gonna rock, gonna roll ya, get you dancing in the house. Jazz you, razzmatazz you with a little bit of style. So come on. Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you. I've come here to sell you my body. I can show you some good merchandise. I'll pull you and I'll pill you. I'll corral and avail you. To thrill you, I'll use any device. Performance. We'll give you grounds for divorce. We'll give you pièce de resistance and a tour de force. Of course. We found the right location. Got a lot of pretty lights. The sound and amplification. Listen. Yeah. If you need a fix, if you want to hide, Stiggles will see to that. With Electra and EMI, we'll show you where it's at. So come on. Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you. Hey, it's magic. What? Just take a look at the menu. Activities, we'll sing to you in Japanese. We're only here to entertain you. If you want to see some action, you get nothing but the best. The yesterday of attraction, we got the pleasure chest. Chicago down to New Orleans, we got you on the line. If you dig the New York scene, we'll have a son of a bitch for time. So come on, let me entertain, let me entertain, let me entertain you. Where's my backstage pass? There it is. Back there on the wall. It was there the whole time. Rock.
Delvin, that's very nice. Says kind of a bootleg recording feel. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, not to talk too much about the recording, but, you've got 5 guys that are absolutely obsessed with Queen, Steve's is not as obsessed as the rest of us. Is he millennial or Gen Z? No, he's a millennial. He's like early 30s. Yeah. I think he's right on the cusp. But anyway, yeah, the rest of us are all Gen Xers, so is Tony Gen X? Maybe Tony's a boomer, but whatever. The point is like we all grew up as massive Queen fans. So, all of us. So that's a huge compliment to sort of give it a bootleg and sort of imply like it's a thing. I love that. I think Adamus did an amazing job on the drums. It's interesting, you know, without any samples, you do hear that kind of kind of on-off compressed snare sound that you're used to hearing in the 70s. So it's quite interesting. The original recording of this, of course, is one of my favorite songs of all time. But that's why we covered it, because I'm a huge fan. But the drums were never quite as defined as I would have wanted them on the original. And I think it's probably just to do with the mix, where, Gen X, gaming console, yeah.
I've come here to sell you my body. I can show you some good merchandise. I'll pull you and I'll pill you. I'll corral and avail you. To thrill you, I'll use any device. We'll give you crazy performance. We'll give you grounds for divorce.
Yeah, somebody was mentioning the guitars. There's a little thing about these guitars is that Jamie spent a long time, a long time being, getting the sound right. Like he really, really went for it on the sound, and he got it super, super close, with the exception of the high end. So when I mixed this, I had the EQ that you saw on Pro Tools, but I also had our, what are they called? Why am I looking at it? Phoenix EQs cranking on the high mids as well. There's something nice about those EQs. So I was boosting the high mids on those as well. So actually, somebody was saying that the guitars could be just a little bit more exciting. I do agree. I think Adamus, it's a difficult one because you've got to balance like the snare and the vocal and the guitars so that they're all kind of cutting together. I remember we used to talk a lot in the early days of the Academy about high mids and stuff, about how you want to be careful you don't get too, treat one instrument or one vocal or whatever, one element too aggressively, because once you do that, you have to then make everything else more aggressive. So let's just say you had a vocal and you wanted it to be really biting. You made it really biting and you fell in love with it. And then the next day you're listening and you realize that it's the brightest thing in the mix and everything else needs to come up as well. So, it's really a case of getting things really, really balanced. However, I do agree. I think the guitars themselves could just have a little bit more bite on them. Just a little bit more, 5, 6, possibly even 7, just a little bit more in that area, just so they're a little bit more rip your face off. And I actually don't think you need to turn them up any, because if you start putting 1 or 2 dB, especially, at least a dB in that area, they are going to get far more up front, So that's the main thing for me. Keep listening.
I've come here to sell you my body. I can show you some good merchandise. I'll pull you and I'll pill you. I'll corral and avail you. To thrill you, I'll use any device.
You're welcome, Dimitri.
I've come here to sell you my body. I can show you some good merchandise. I'll pull you and I'll pill you. I'll corral and avail you. To thrill you, I'll use any device.
So when those guitars come in, a bit more gritty high mid.
To thrill you, I'll use any device. We'll give you crazy performance. We'll give you grounds for divorce. We'll give you pièce de resistance and a tour de force. Of course. We found the right location. Got a lot of pretty lights. The sound and amplification. Listen.
I like the snare. I think in that breakdown section, the reason why I was focusing on that breakdown section was to hear as the guitars came in, just to illustrate how the guitars could be a little bit brighter, a bit more, aggressive. But also I feel like the snare sounds fantastic. The drums sound fantastic when soloed, or almost soloed like we hear there. The bass relationship's really good. However, when the band comes in, the snare tends to only be focused on a pap, 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 pap. You hear more of the pap sound and you hear less of the body and everything that you do in that section. So I would actually crack crank the reverb a little bit more there. And don't be afraid to just push the snare itself up a little bit. Obviously, if you crank the reverb a dB in a denser section, the snare's going to get louder. So try it incrementally, like a dB of reverb and a dB of snare where the full band is in. And that might be enough. Otherwise, it's just a pap, pap, pap that's cutting through. Pretty spectacular, though. I mean, the low end on the recorded kick is phenomenal, isn't it? It's really good. It makes the kick drum quite easy to mix as a result. Wonderful work. Wonderful work. Yeah, for me, it's mainly addressing the snare so that it's automated in sections so it can be heard a little bit more reverb in when it's denser, just so you get a little bit more body of it on there. And then just making those guitars just a bit more exciting without having to turn them up, just adding some more high mids and stuff would be amazing. Great work. Great work. All right, next up is Andre. And Andre says, "Hi, I'm new here, and this is my second mix." Great. This is the first song that was a little harsh, I believe, after listening to other songs, so I tried a different approach this time. I did not use the tape recordings because I wanted to practice on mixing digital sounds and try and make them more like tape, make them more tape sounding. Please come with feedback. Okay, marvelous. Traveling Light, here we go.
The two of them left before the dawn on a Sunday morning to try to make it in time to see the sunrise over the lake. He said, "How much do I give and what do I take?" As he took him by the hand. Some things we'll never understand. The two of them sat at the chapel on a Sunday morning to hear the preacher man say it's okay to take these things slow. No matter where you go, I want you to know this sin don't belong to you now. There ain't nothing that you need to do. So won't you come down to the lakeside? Won't you come down by the shady shore? Take the load up off your shoulder. You don't need to carry that no more. And lay it down by the lakeside, left round by the shady shore. 'Cause we're traveling light. Yeah, we're traveling light. Two of them stood holding hands at the edge of the water with a wondering smile, saying, "Baby, it's about damn time." He took her in his arms, she looked into his eyes. "Can you leave it all behind now?" "Oh yes, I've made up my mind. Take me down to the lakeside, take me down by the shady shore. Take the load up off my shoulder. I don't wanna carry that no more. And lay it down by the lakeside.
It's a wonderful song, isn't it? It's a truly wonderful song. It's lovely having Mark give us some of these songs because it fits really, really nicely with the same aesthetic. You know, if you think of like the work I've done with Augustana and The Fray and James Blunt, and then this just feels like a natural thing. It's been a really good find for us. He's going to do some more stuff inside of the Academy as well. That's coming up, so expect to see his face in here as well. Okay, and there's a couple of other people coming in as well, so it's all very exciting. I love it on the whole. Sometimes I personally feel that the vocal reverb is a bit too much, and you could fight the idea of is it too much or is it the wrong reverb. It's just, let's have a listen again. Sorry, wrong section. And there's some really good double stop movement on the electric. Down, 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 which I'm not hearing. And one of the things I like about that is it just keeps the movement going because you've got the drums, you've got the bass, they feel really good. But that down, 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 down part also gives me some melodic and rhythmic movement on the left and right with the guitars panned. So I'm missing a little bit of those. I think automating the guitars. Just to be clear, Andre, your choices in EQ and compression are really good. What we're talking about here is automation. And I feel like this, I'd bring the reverb down or I'd go for a shorter reverb. That's just me. I think going for a longer, almost plate sound, it's hard to tell in solo what it is, but without being able to solo it, in the track. But it feels like a bigger plate. It might be a room, but it does sound like a plate to me. I could be wrong, and I probably am. And I get it because it's a classy, classic sounding song. So plate is typically the way to go, isn't it? You want to have that, classic, 60s, 70s plate sound that we all love on so many great recordings before, we moved into any kind of digital stuff. So I get it. But I feel like it could have a little bit more intimacy to it because he's already down by the, he's already kind of giving it a lot of personality. So I would definitely just shorten the reverb. I would get those guitars up, automate them, especially where there's movement. What you could do is you could do the Steven Tyler thing and just turn them up when you want to hear the movement. We talked about this many times before. That's what he would do with me. He would just sit there, his face here, literally like here, like, oh, and just tell me to turn things up. And they always felt wrong, but he was always proved right. So you could do that as well. Because that line, down, 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 you could just bring up the guitar a dB in the choruses, but then when there's a double stop, feature that, bring it up another dB. So it helps your ear attach to things. It's a similar idea we talk about, like when you have the drums soloed in a section, you crank the rooms, like but then you bring the rooms down in the rest of the drums. They don't need to be as loud because your brain equates and goes, oh, wow, big roomy drums. And then it just stays in your mind. You don't necessarily have to have the whole rest of the band dwarfed by the drum rooms. So in this instance, I think go to a similar tack, push up the guitars, in the choruses there, but then a little extra when they're doing just a little double stop, a little fun movement, just for some ear candy. And the reason why I'm saying all of this is because I do think your mix is really good. I think that you're in detail world. I think you're in there finding things to make it sound a bit more exciting. At the moment, it's a little, bland is a strong word, but it's a little kind of safe in these choruses. It's a little safe. It's bass, it's drums, it's vocals, and it's, kind of like backgrounds. But I want to hear maybe slightly brighter piano when I hear like little bling. I want to hear some dancing around. I want to hear some right hand piano, and I want to hear some guitar double stoppy stuff. Anything where there's single notes being plucked out of the guitar. I want to hear more of that, and I want to hear a bit more right hand piano, just to give me some width, to give me some like, yeah. You know, Chris was saying maybe the snare's on the verge of being a little loud. Maybe a little bit, you know. Let's have a quick listen more. Yeah, Peter's saying it's a little lispy. Lake Tide is a little bit like that. You might want to back off your DS for a little bit. Subtle stuff, though. It's really good work. It's really, really good work, Andre. And thanks ever so much for doing it. Thanks everybody who does everything because, oh my God, another needle and the damage done. Anita, yay! Thanks everybody who does this because it really means a lot because we get to have these great discussions. We get to talk about, you know, not only how to improve a particular mix, but it brings on great discussion about things to do. We haven't had a heavily automated kind of discussion, but I think that this week, a couple of these mixes have jumped out to like the difference between them being a really good mix and a great mix is the automation and the focus on stuff and just, you know, level adjustments. But Andre, your compression EQ, with the exception of maybe the vocal being a little bit aggressively de-essed, with the exception of those things, your compression EQ choices on Traveling Light are really good. You just need to get into width, like bringing things up so that it can create some more width, so that you've got hard pan and left and right, like the guitar, like the piano, focusing on little ear candy stuff just to keep our excitement and interest going. Otherwise, wonderful work. All right, next up is Anita. And Anita says, went through a few phases before I finally settled on this version. Thanks, Sheila. Decided to make this a duet. Oh, if you will. Hearing my voice alone bothers me. So I took one acoustic from the 1040 clear and the other acoustic from the 1040 dark. Warren's vocals are from the 1040 clear, and I recorded mine with an 80-20-20. Great mic. Very affordable, excellent Audio-Technica. Cut out some low mids on the acoustic guitar and did some editing with the vocals. And if I didn't stop editing the vocals, I'd never finish with it. I hear you. It's like that with me. I mean, I usually sing one, maybe two vocals, because if you give me 5 vocals to comp, I'll be here a month on my vocals. Let me know what you think. Great. Here we go. Checking out Anita's The Duet of Needle and Damage Done.
Caught you knocking at my cellar door. I love you, baby, can I have some more? Ooh, the damage done. I hit the city and I lost my band. I watched the needle take another man. Gone, gone, the damage done. I sing the song because I love the man. I know that some of you don't understand. Milk, blood to keep from running out. I've seen the needle and the damage done. A little part of it in everyone. But every junkie's like a setting sun.
Yay. Oh, I love it. You know, it got me quite teary-eyed. It's rather beautiful. Thank you ever so much for doing it as a duet. And I like the effect on the guitar. It's interesting to do that because, you know, we've got the two of us singing together, which sounds wonderful. I really appreciate it, Anita. But then also that kind of chorusing effect on the acoustic makes it make sense with the doubled vocal. Wow, and it's fun. I'm enjoying hearing these simple songs. This is twice now. I'm thank you, Eric, for finding these. I did say to him this week, I told him a couple of artists and bands to exclude. I was like, dude, every week we got the same ones. So I'm glad he went looking for something outside of the usual suspects. Don't worry, we'll be back to the usual suspects of artists next week. But Anita, absolutely love it. Thank you ever so much. I got a little teary-eyed. And for some reason I had a vision of us sitting by my piano doing this. I don't know why, seeing I'm playing an acoustic, but maybe somebody else is playing the acoustic and we're singing by a piano. There you go. Beautiful work. Next up is Sean Sullivan with Bullet. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, and let us know what you did on the acoustic. We want to know. I decided to have a go at this, says Sean, at his pop song since it's outside of my rock comfort zone. In my head, I kept hearing Warren tell me, bring up the vocals, this is a pop song. So I tried. Is it enough? Too much? Any feedback is appreciated. Okay, well, let's figure it out. Yeah, I mean, it's a pop song. Oh, which bullet is it? Oh, yeah, I suppose it is. It's a indie pop song. There you go. I see.
I've been hit first, felt the bullets, pulled the trigger. I'm not a killer. I've been caught by your lovesick drive-by. You knocked me out and I can barely breathe. Hit so hard my heart skips a beat. All I need is a little release. Don't open my eyes. The battle is done and I think that you won. Don't open my eyes. Take my own hurt and save my life while I can. Don't open my eyes. Yeah. Take back your bullets and your bullshit, your stupid music, your guitar. I don't want it. You did me so wrong. Load a fake song. Ready, aim, fire. Don't open my eyes. The battle is done and I think that you won. Don't open my eyes. I'll take my own hurt and save my life while I can. Don't open my eyes. Cause you left me out in the dark in there. There's no one light up ahead. Oh, you left me out in the dark in there. There's no one light up ahead. Don't open my eyes. The battle is done and I think that you won. Don't open my eyes. I'll take my own hurt and save my life while I can. Don't open my eyes. Yeah. Take back your bullets. Take back your bullet. Ooh.
So first of all, I think the vocal's great. You know, you're asking about whether it's too loud or just right. It's definitely a loud indie pop vocal. What is interesting, as a rock mixer, Sean, the only thing I want you to really work on and address is the drums. I want the drums to rock a bit more. I think at the moment they're I liked hearing the SSL snare, pap, 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 but I want to hear a bit more crang, a bit more rock to it. Even though she's, Lily's got a beautiful, somewhat pretty sounding voice, I still think it could have more aggression to it.
I've been hit first, felt the bullets, pulled the trigger. I'm not a killer.
It's weird how it feels like it's leaning left there on the snare, even though the guitar's on the left as well. Yeah, I think, Sean, what you may be doing is being a little, probably being a little respectful on the drums and trying to keep it a little bit more pop and light. Totally understand. I want to tell you a quick story. When I did Chris Allen for his album he did after he won American Idol, I did 2 songs on the record, and Serban mixed the whole album. His drums came back sounding like this. We went to Sunset Sound and we did a lot of room mics and we had a really aggressive drum kit. And I had the same conversation. We were just like, hey, sounds a little pop, a little polite. And he's like, oh, he's a pop singer. And I was like, yeah, but, we recorded him to rock a little harder. So, you're in good company and I totally get it. I think it could do with a bit more rock, a bit more attitude. You see, I'm trying to sound American. Attitude, as we would say. But I think a bit more like lows on the kick, a bit more aggression on the kick, a bit more snap to it, a bit more ring on the snare. I think this song can rock because even though there's no big bar chords, have a listen to the density of the chorus.
Don't open my eyes. The battle is done, and I think that you won. Don't open my eyes. Take my own hurt.
Hey, Darren Ross, somebody was asking the other day about some shreddy guitar, weren't they, inside of the Pro Mix Academy Facebook page. And I was like, Darren Ross? Ask him. So I don't know. Did anybody reach out to Darren? I can't remember whose comment it was, but now I'm seeing Darren's name pop up. Yeah, so I think you can have some more fun with it. I think you've got the vocal loud, proud up front. And I think you're being a little bit more conservative on it because you're a rock guy and you're thinking you want to be a little, hold back a bit. I say go for it. I say big drums, big guitars, big synths, vocals great already, lots of low end on the kick, more aggression on the snare. I think this should rock. I think even though it's a poppier song, I think you need to bring your rock aesthetics, do something a bit more natural to it, and I think you'll hit it out of the park. I think you're in the right area, particularly the vocal was fantastic. But let's make that track rock. Was that R-A-W-K? Rock. I don't know, I'm silly. All right, hello everyone. This is Andy Tullis. Hey Andy. It was the last time in here. I got a little sideways on the low end saddle. Hopefully this one I stay upright. Give me your feedback. P.S. There's a familiar voice at the very end. I had to keep it in. It makes me smile. I don't know what song it is. What song is it? Oh, okay. Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about.
I was lost, couldn't find my way home. I was tired, my mind wouldn't leave me alone. I was blind, didn't know how far I could fall. If this is love, then I want it all. I never thought I was sick. I felt that pain in my heart. I would lie in bed at night and dream of you tearing me apart. I never thought that I would be caught by love so helplessly again. Now I can't see a reason why for routine under falling skies again. I never thought that I would be caught by love so helplessly again. I can't see a reason why for routine under falling skies again. I never thought that I would be caught by love so helplessly again. I can't see a reason why for routine under falling skies again. Oh, 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 oh.
I mean, okay, well, it's been real. And if you heard me say why I said that, 'cause that was the first take. So I was like, yeah, it's been real, like we're done. And we ended up using it. It's pretty ridiculous. I just want to listen. This is the problem I think I'm having is a lot of people saying too much lows on the kick. It's actually the bass at about 60s really booming away. And first thing I would do is get in there, Andy, and kind of control the bass, like just make it a little bit more even so it's always pretty much the same volume, because this is quite a linear song. You can just get that low end to be a bit more consistent. Chris is saying about 300 in the kick.
I was sick. I felt that pain in my heart. I would lie in bed at night and dream of you tearing me apart. I never thought.
This is a good. The thing is with the 80 on the bass, I like it, but it's some of the notes are really booming out at 80. A couple of are more booming out at 60. Whatever you're doing there with the bass, like don't be afraid to use the MV2. Just squash that top end information and bring up the low end information. And I'm talking about the dynamics of it. So reduce the dynamic range of the low end a bit more. So it's just consistently pumping good, beautiful low end. That's why that's to me would make a huge difference. I think you could pull out a little bit more 300 in the kick, but I feel like if the bass was more even, the kick would have more space. And then in the kick drum, you could pull out a bit of 80 to 100 and just let that get in there. But yeah, I think the MV2, it's always on sale for Waves for $29. It's a freaking miracle plugin. That's really the main thing. There was a couple of discussions I saw about people saying about the snare drum. It was funny because they're saying it's in a different room. It actually was in a different room, even though we were playing live, because we had a piano booth where it was in. I like the snare. It's an interesting one. This is one of those ones that you could focus on a lot of different mics for the snare drum. Top and bottom, obviously, but you could also bring up some of the rooms to give it a bit more personality. There's a lot of different stuff we could do. Real Raven says that we're allowed to use Torque for retuning drums. You can do whatever you like. You know, there's no rules. As Jens is now saying, there's no rules. You're allowed to do anything because it is produced like a pro. So there's an emphasis on obviously mixing, but also being able to take these multi-tracks and do overdubs. Like, for instance, I'm sure Andy's aware, there is, and as Kat's saying, you're definitely allowed. And I agree. Yeah, let's encourage it. So I'm all about it. I think... I think control that low end, Andy. Just make it a little bit more consistent, and I think we'd be in a really, really good place. I mean, I like the mix a lot. I really do. And infinitely better, as you were saying in your last one. You need to carve out some space on the kick drum. So you need to pull out some 80 to 100 to let the bass live in there. Then you need to even out that area between like 60 and 100. Like find that 80 focal point, maybe with the R bass if you want, but then take the MV2 and just squash it dramatically down there. So that low end is consistent. And because at the moment it's blooming, covering the kick. Sometimes the kick's covering the bass. We don't want that. We want the low end of the kick to be defined, and we want the low end of the bass to be defined. That's how you get good low end mixing. But Andy, don't take it too hard though, because critically speaking, it's a massive leap from where you were before, and we're getting into just detailed places now. All right, next up is Old Lady Man. Hey, Old Lady Man, and so took a shot at mixing Hot Mate OTN. Oh. Hold on to me at the end of the night. Hot Mate OTN, that's awesome. All right, let's check it out.
Days getting longer, darling. Coming to the end of the road. The real world won't stop calling. But it's not the time to go. It doesn't have to be over. The lights still burn bright at our will. Will come and they'll bathe in the dirt just to find some place to be still. Living ain't just for the hopeful. Sunlight ain't just for the day. Leave all your sins at the table. We can just walk away when the fight is too strong. The sun doesn't shine. You're left with nothing. Hold on to me at the end of the night. Fear starts taking over. Words won't take their shape. As you drown out the sound of the darkness around you, you feel what you're dying to say. Drinking ain't just for the rambler. Courage ain't just for the brave. Leave all your sins at the table. We can just walk away when the fight is too strong. The sun doesn't shine. You're left with nothing. At the end of the night, when the fight is too strong, the sun doesn't shine, you're left with nothing. Hold on to me at the end of the night. Living ain't just for the hopeful. Sunlight ain't just for the day. Drinking ain't just for the rambler. Courage ain't just for the brave. So leave all your sins at the table. Join me in walking away. Leave all your sins at the table. And we can just walk away when the fight is too strong. When the fight is too strong. The sun doesn't shine. When the sun doesn't shine. When you're left with nothing. When you're left with nothing. Just hold on to me at the end of the night. When the fight is too strong. When the fight is too strong. And the sun doesn't shine. The sun doesn't shine. When you're left with nothing. When you're left with nothing. Just hold on to me at the end of the night. Just hold on to me at the end of the night.
It's a wonderful mix. And was this the 1 or 2 mic one? Can't remember how many mics we had on the drums. Either way, absolutely fantastic work. Really, really impressed considering. So for those of you who are new, I think we have 96 multi-tracks or something like that. And we also have multi-tracks, or 92, Anita was saying. And then we have multi-tracks from other people as well. You know, we've multi-tracks from Academy members. So there's over 100 multi-tracks in here. And some of them, of course, we make sure that when we do them on Produce Like a Pro YouTube channel, we also put them in here as well, when Eric remembers. And, and that's what this is. So if you're new, this is one that is got a limited amount of microphones on it. So how many mics?
2 mics.
2 mics. Okay, so just 2 mics on the drums. The drums have kind of like a washy, compressed, cymbals bleeding into it. That's because it's only 2 mics. That's the way it's going to be. I like it. It's got a 60s, late 60s, early 70s. A lot of people are comparing it to Joe Cocker because of the fact that it's got a one. Was it? What is it? It's 4-1-5, which is this. By a little help from my friends. So because it's a 4-1-5. It sounds like Joe Cocker, but yeah, it's just because it's the same same 3 chords of 4-1-5. But I think the comparison goes beyond that because, of course, there's the big kind of gospel choir, which is, by the way, all Steve. So the gospel choir singing, all of that stuff is a big part of why, we all believe that it sounds like that. So I totally understand. I think it's a really, really good mix. Let's just have a quick listen about here.
Drown out the sound of the darkness around you. You feel what you're dying to say. Drinking ain't just for the rambler. Courage ain't just for the brave. Leave all your sins at the table. We can just walk away when the fight is too strong. The sun doesn't shine.
You could argue a little bit more 40 to 60 on the microphone that has more kick drum in it. So there's only 2 kicks. Maybe just a little tiny bit more lows on that kick. Now you could also argue that it could be done in mastering. So let's quickly do that before we move on.
Drown out the sound of the darkness around you. You feel what you're dying to say. Drinking ain't just for the rambler.
Yeah, so I've done a really stupidly wide bell on purpose there. I've gone to 50. Let's bring it down a bit.
Drown out the sound of the darkness around you. You feel what you're dying to say.
Yeah, obviously what I'm doing there is also bringing up too much of the bass, but it is illustrating that, yeah, on the other mic on the drums, which is more kick based, just a little bit more 60, Pultec EQ. But then I would boost it on a 60 using a Pultec style EQ, and then I would immediately put an EQ afterwards and just cut out 80 to 100, so you're not smothering the bass area. And I'd probably go to the bass guitar and just increase your slope slightly more on your high passing, and I think you'll have a pretty perfect mix. Great work, really, really fantastic work. We do a lot of low end discussions, and there's a reason for that. It's the most difficult thing, I think, for most of us to mix in. Not everybody has an environment where they can hear the low end properly. And it's interesting, there's a lot of obsessions and big videos talking about mid-range. Get it? All the details in the mid-range. I understand the videos. I know why they're big. Thing is, they're the easy things to hear. The stuff that most of us have trouble with, well, to be honest, all mixers have trouble, is getting that low end right. All right, next up is Ed Krause. Ed, so hello, Warren and fellow plappers. Here's my take on Steve McGraw's What's Going On With You. He's such a soulful singer, and funky groove is addictive. And that funky groove is addictive. Everything fell into place for me pretty quickly, except for the kick and bass. Getting the bottom end right on this one was a little frustrating. I'm not sure if it's there. Let me know. Any other comments, advice are welcome. Excellent. Here we go.
Sitting there with your arms crossed, I know you're wondering. It's hard to tell if our love's gone. You got me wondering too. 'Cause every time I try to talk, but you don't wanna listen. No. You can't expect me, baby, to know what's going on, to keep holding on to you. So baby, baby, won't you tell me, what's going on with you? Oh, baby, tell me, what's going on with you? We've been right for a while now, and it's a crying shame, a crying shame. And are we just two more heartbreak players in another losing game? Oh, 'cause every time I try to talk, you don't wanna listen, no. You can't expect me, baby, to know what's going on, to keep holding on to you. So baby, baby, won't you tell me, what's going on with you? Oh, baby, tell me, what's going on with you? Oh, baby, tell me, what's going on with you? Well, baby, tell me, what's going on with you? Oh,
Wow. Thank you ever so much for doing that. I've got to say, Ed, thank you for doing it. On a completely selfish thing, that's my favorite guitar solo I think I've ever played. I was like, that's a cool solo. And I was like, wow, actually, I played that. And I don't usually like my guitar solos. I don't know about you. I'm not a very good singer. I hate hearing myself sing, and I hate hearing myself play solos. Absolutely hate it. I will skip a song if I've got a solo in it. But that one, I was like pleasantly surprised. I really liked that solo. Hate doing solos. I mean, I practice, but I hate listening to them. Ed, thank you for doing such a wonderful job on this. Again, how many mics was this one?
2 mics.
This is 2 mics as well?
Yeah.
So they're both 2 mics? I thought one was 1 mic.
This one was on the Lewitt 140 spaced pair.
Oh, so are the drums recorded with just 2 mics or they're 4 mics? Because the drums sound really fantastic. I would argue, maybe possibly, Ed, to bring down the snare verb just a bit. You know what I mean? Oh, you're very kind, Darren. I mean, coming from you, such a wonderful guitar player, I appreciate it. But you know what I mean. When you're a singer, you don't like hearing yourself sing. When you're a guitar player, you don't like hearing yourself play solos.
We've been right for a while now. It's a crying shame, a crying shame. And are we just two more heartbreak players in another losing game?
I mean, I like it, Ed. I just want a little bit less of the verb, but I do like it. I like it when the band comes in. It sucks it up a little bit.
Players in another losing game. Cause every time I try to talk, baby, you don't wanna listen, no. You can't expect me, baby, to know what's going on, to keep holding on to you.
Yeah, I think it's just a snare verb, really. Peter's saying something about the bass gets a little boomy. He might be right. I think the only other thing is it gets a little too smashed at the end there. The snare gets a little lost. Guitars, pianos, everything get a little bit carried away. I suppose that is for the excitement, but I would look in there and, you've definitely, you're either mastered it or you're hitting your bass hard. I mean, obviously, that's pretty squared off. Now, it's not terrible, but you're starting to hear it. I don't see any, or hear any digital clipping or anything like that. But you can have it a little bit more open there, I think, at the end. Just open it up just a little bit more. Yeah, so just sort of maybe raise the threshold there, bring the output down on the overall so you're not hitting the master bus quite so hard. And just see if you can keep it a little bit more open so the song builds and builds and builds. That's the main thing for me, I think, of the takeaway. It's a really great mix. Less snare verb. You might be able to get away with that snare verb later on in the song. Like here, you don't really know. Yeah, it's getting really crowded in there. It's starting to get... so yeah, if you can back off that threshold there and just kind of let it breathe a little bit more, just don't be afraid to automate these things, get in on the master bus compressor and automate away. Really, really great stuff. Very impressed. Wow, what a wonderful week. What a wonderful week. And it's so beautiful to have like those couple of acoustic ones in. It really changed it. Normally we're just concentrating on big, dense, rock pop and EDM-y kind of tracks. Oh, just want to remind you 2 things. If you haven't already, Matt Weiss put up a new course today. Wednesday. What was it, Eric?
Multi-band compression workshop.
It's a multi-band compression workshop. We have Matt is now going to be, along with Mark, who's coming in a bit later, going to be doing a lot of Academy stuff for us here. You probably all know and love Matt for his years, like 10 years of being at Pro Audiophiles. Well, now, you know, he's become very successful over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and done a lot of big hip-hop and R&B, pop and EDM records, but mainly hip-hop, done some really big albums. So he's coming over to join us and do some video content. So just keep an eye out. So he's got a tutorial on multi-band compression. If you haven't seen it yet already, I'm sure Eric is seconds away from posting it in the chat. Seconds. That could be 1 second or 1,000 seconds, but either way, it's seconds. The next thing is like, please do me a favor, because this is not a, what's the right way of describing it? It's not a big video for us, but we just interviewed George Serra. He's not very well known because he's a man behind the curtain kind of thing, but George mixes hybrid using an SSL and has mixed a lot of big pop stuff and also records a lot of big stuff. So what's interesting, if you go and watch his video, I will put that up. Please leave me a comment. I will go over there and check them and respond to you. Here is the link to today's video. And what I like about George is he mixes, like I say, SSL, hybrid, but he's mixing like Rihanna and Shawn Mendes and Drake, like these huge pop artists that we make assumptions for, and he records them. We make assumptions are all done in a laptop in a box. And he's not. He's making them like that. So please, 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 please go and check it out. I would really, really appreciate it. Leave me a comment over there. I'm going to go and sit and have a sandwich and read your comments and respond to them. So go and meet me over there and give the rather lovely... oh, yes, Kat's pointing out, for Feedback Friday, you submit songs from the multitrack library. However, as Kat's probably also going to say, on Wednesdays and once a month, we do artist, producer submitted ones as well. So there is a separate link for that, Eric, in the forum.
Yeah, we make a designated spot for that.
Designated spot for there. So please leave your own productions in there. People will come and check it out. You can go in and tell people that they're there. Why is it not letting me post it? Oh, there you go. So go, but in the meantime, go and check out our new video with George Serra. He's a really sweet guy. I really liked him, and it was a great interview. All right, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, adios, adio, goodbye, farewell. See you later.